Hello, welcome back. It's you Masters. We're right into the thick of things in Champ Select for the battle at the bottom of the standings between Defusekids from the Dutch League, the Netherlands, against LDLC from the LFL in France. LDLC, mixed bag so far in the tournament. They were hand-gifted, as we mentioned, a win from Rogue earlier in the tournament. We'll have to see if they can turn things around and show us a little bit more here in the games today. But Foxdrop, it's not always, people aren't always as hyped for watching matchups near the bottom of the table, but there's always something worth looking at. There's always someone worth watching, and I want to know who you want to focus on in this matchup.
Yeah, for me, I think we should keep our eyes on Chapapi, because in the play-ins, Defusekids did really well. They won most of their games. Obviously, they made it through to the main stage, and in those games, Chapapi had like a 70% kill participation. Now, in the two games so far we've seen of him in the Masters, he has like a 40%, which is a stark difference. It's definitely something that hurts Defusekids. The thing is that they're putting him on scaling. He played Kassadin and Azir, and it's just, they're not getting to the point where he can be useful as a scaling champion. So it all for me starts in the draft here with Defusekids. I want to see them be able to do a little bit more to whether they put Chapapi on something different or whether they keep the scaling pick but then just execute it a bit differently in the game. I just think something needs to change there.
And from talking a lot to Tyg, who has a pretty solid relationship with a lot of the players on Defusekids, he talked about how kind of they were like, hey, these were just hiccups. We were really confident going into Game 2. Game 2 was another day of these kind of hiccups, so we'll have to see how well they perform today. I already like that we're seeing a shift away from what we saw in the previous matchups. No more, Varus plus Lulu in the bottom lane. We are getting an Aphelios. I hope it's not paired with another ranged AD carries. Those have not been working at all for this team. They have been not building any advantages in lane. But LDLC respond with two very powerhouse picks in the Sett and the MF.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that Sett wasn't banned, I was like, Defusekids, you have to first pick Sett here, or Bando's just going to pick it up. It's his most played champion. He loves it. There's a 90% win rate on it, and it's been banned every game against him so far at EU Masters. So it's open. They didn't first pick it, and instead, Bando's going to get his hand on that, and puts a lot of pressure on Alois here, because Defusekids often draft towards him, give him like the counter pick as the last pick of the draft, and yeah, you're going up against Sett. That's tricky. Xerath for Chapapi. Chapapi is like the Xerath god, by the way. I know that looks surprising, but that is him. Like if he were a league champion, he would be Xerath. So when you've got like the Azir taken away, I'm not really that surprised to see him default to his Xerath.
And I'll be honest, it's just been a long time since I've seen a Xerath Foxdrop. Just period. This champion just does not exist in my solo queue game, so I'm ready to see why Chapapi likes it, what Chapapi can do, because on the other hand, I know exactly what to expect from Akali, and it's once we hit this level 6 point, I imagine it's going to be very difficult for Chapapi to survive a lot of these exchanges where it's reliant on him hitting a skill shot against a hyper-mobile champion. But interestingly, we now have the Riven banned away from Alois. Alois, of course, loves Riven in solo queue, so Bando giving a lot of respect over to that pick, and the Jarvan will now be banned away as well.
I'm really excited to see this Akali pick with Vétheo playing it, because he's 17 years old. He's young as heck, which is a great person to pair up against YellOwStaR, by the way.
Oh wait,
who is collecting dust. Well, he's not literally, he's playing a game, but you know what I mean. Like he's old, man. He's old. YellOwStar's been around for ages. What a better mentor to have on your team than YellOwStaR. But the thing what I really like about it isn't just because he's young upcoming French star, but he only plays his style of champions. He doesn't really like the wave clear champions. He likes the more aggressive style of champions. Obviously, Akali is like, bam, there it is. But even things like LeBlanc and whatnot, you'll see him play every now and then too. And as we get into the second round of picks right now, with TynX still not having picked his champion, for me, TynX is like I think he's been the best player of LDLC so far, and at least since his most played champion. I am absolutely shocked to see that one locked in.
There you go. And TynX is a man that has kind of been building a name for himself over time. Back in the Gamer Origins days, I remember him just being this phenomenal Graves player. Obviously, Graves fallen out of the meta for a very long time now, but TynX always going to be a guy that I have my eyes on. This would be interesting. Malphite, of course, has a similarly impactful ultimate, admittedly a little bit easier to use than Sett's, but a bit more high risk. And now we also have the Zac locked in, most likely going into the jungle. And now here's the problem that I want to call out before you say anything else, because we're going to struggle with this all game. There's a Hades in the jungle and there's a Hades in the bot lane.
Yeah. This must be like when Zeus meets Jupiter, you know? One's the Roman god, one's the Greek god, like...
The two Spider-Mans, but one's a Spider-Man that looks slightly different, exactly, you know?
Two Hades, fortunately not playing the same role, but... oh, okay, so they're not...
Alright, ooh.
That surprises me, actually. That really surprises me. Bando loves Sett. He really loves Sett. Maybe he just sees the matchup and he's like, you know what, can't be bothered, give me something else. But that really does surprise me that they're not giving the Sett over to Bando.
And these are two very different styles of compositions. Now, LDLC is the one that I'm a lot more familiar with. There's a lot more picks here that I understand. They have great setup with the Ornn MF. They have good pick potential with a Lee Sin. Akali on the opposite side. We have a Xerath. We have a Zac in the jungle. We have a Malphite in the top lane. It feels kind of like a grab bag of different picks, but the one thing you can say for certain is that both teams have a ton of ways to kick off these fights.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, this is another draft that I'm looking at for Defusekids, and I'm saying this is probably another situation where you're not going to have the advantage in the early game. You're not going to be able to do too much in the early game, so you're going to want to get to like 20, 30 plus minutes before you can really start popping off. You know, you've got your Aphelios as your main carry. You have the engage and the tanky people, which obviously is, you know, you're playing for team fights in that situation. And you know, Xerath again is just a champion that wants to kind of sit back, wave clear, chill out a little bit. So I'm really curious to see this time round if Defusekids. I like that they're going for comfort, but I just really want to be able to see them execute it a little bit better.
And now we get to find out as we get into our final game of the day. Defusekids, can they find their first win of the tournament? Will they end the first round robin without a victory? And LDLC, can they move up into second place? Remember, it is a 1-2 for the potential opposition, looking them down on the opposite side. After Rogue have fallen down, LDLC could move up to 2-1, take sole control of second, heading into week 2.
This is a really spicy matchup as well, a very historic matchup, because both these teams are exceptionally familiar with each other. Defusekids, this is their third E-Masters in a row, same for LDLC, and both times they were in E-Masters last, 2019 spring, 2019 summer, they were in a group with each other. Both of these teams, they're very familiar with each other. And guess what happened? Guess what happened in 2019 spring? And guess what happened in 2019 summer? I'll give you a clue. The same thing happened. Both times the same thing happened. One of them made it out and one of them didn't. Is it that...
well, Foxtrap, you kind of ruined it when you told me the answer. Did LDLC make it out both times? And
yeah,
did Defusekids...
I guess that was... Okay, so I made it a bit easier for you. That's. I was setting you up to answer the question, so you look smart. You know
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, that's I really appreciate that. I need that. You know, I need people to know that I can answer really potentially hyper-telegraphed questions.
And I'm proud of you, Dracos. And this is it. It was 2-1 and 1-2 both times when these two guys went up against each other, both of the groups. So yeah, this is for me. I know that the Defusekids are like, oh my goodness, we're playing against LDLC again. Third time's the charm, right? So I'm really excited to see at least this first game how it goes down.
And hopefully third time's the charm in terms of game wins overall. Now, Xerath, a relative mystery to me, but this bot lane has been a big problem for Defusekids in that they've fallen behind a lot, and usually they're investing a lot in winning early. Things like the Varus-Lulu pairing, trying to make sure that they can just bully out and provide pressure in the bottom lane. But this time around, they're not playing something nearly as oppressive. Aphelios Thresh obviously very good, but not quite the bully of the Lulu Varus, and yet still they're winning out on this lane phase, and I love to see it. Finally, a solid early game where nothing is going wrong from the side of Defusekids. Admittedly,
you're 2 minutes in and you're already...
We're 2 minutes in, but you got to understand, these were really bad early games. These were not a good look for Nightmares and Goose. So I'm hopeful as we move to later levels that we can continue to see at least a stable bot lane performance from the side of Defusekids.
Sure. Defusekids as a team in general don't tend to have the most explosive early games. In the plains when they went 7-2, they got first blood tower like 20-something% of the time. Like it wasn't particularly good, so they're no real strangers to being up against it in the early game, but then they kind of bring it back in that mid to late, and it's kind of like what we've seen so far from them is they have had that more timid early game. But the problem is when you go up against stronger opposition and you face in the plains, they punish that a lot better. They don't let you get back on your feet so that you can then have a good mid game and you can have a good late game.
And when you talk about having that punishing early game, TynX is inevitably the guy that I look at because he is, within his own right, a monster in a lot of these ERL tournaments. And I have to see if he can find a setup now here as well. A lot of damage onto Bando, but Alois maybe baited in here. The flash forward, the kick, the connect. TynX is going to get the follow-up, and right as we talk about it, first blood coming in for the Lee Sin.
There he is. You know, TynX really has been a shining star for me on LDLC. He is such a talented jungler, even as you mentioned in his Gamers Origin days, like in 2018 when he was playing for that team. He went to EU Masters twice. I just think that, you know, this is always someone to keep your eyes on. Like, he's so active in the early game. He always paths in a place that lands him in the right place at the right time. And it's kind of sometimes hard to analytically break that down, like just how he does it. But it's just a sign of a good jungler, really. And it all starts with Alois thinking he's got the upper hand. Some nice 1v1 trades, but it's just good execution as well, you know. Like, it's good to just know, like, you just got to land that flash Q, else you're not going to get the gank. And he even gets the flash out of Alois as well, so really good stuff from TynX.
It's a big deal, and I think one of the things that makes this draft more difficult for Defusekids to play out is you can talk about the potential for Zach and Malphite to really just wreak havoc in these team fights, but early on in the game, both those champions are going to suffer, and especially Zach because his ganking is great, Foxtrot. We know it. Anyone who's played against him in solo queue knows it, but Lee Sin is not scared of this guy in the duel. He can face check any bush on the map right now because if there's a Zach there, he doesn't care. That champion cannot kill him.
Yeah, definitely. It is a tough matchup for Zach. Also in the... Ooh, okay.
Oh. Pull back from YellOwStaR. Snare from Goose has not come in, but they're going to be fine on that one. Get the flash out, though, from Nightmares.
Yeah, and that's something to keep your eye on as the game progresses, to see whether TynX revisits the bot side of this map. Like, already, you can just see that LDLC has taken this game by the scruff of the neck. A lot of it comes down to the draft, as you were mentioning, like having a better early, but just the way that they played so far. Alois, though, look at those fiery hand claps. Look at that. That's
He's
painful.
doing good.
It's nice to
Burning
see
through a
Ornn
lot
get
of
slapped
that
about,
mana.
you know.
Wow. Bando does not care, though.
No.
That's crazy. He has so much faith in that catalyst healing just over the course of a fight. He's like, you cannot burst me until you have that ult. I know how much damage you do, little Malphite. It is not a lot at this stage of the game.
Yeah, Hadess is knocking about here. And what's really interesting about this play is that TynX just pinged Defusekids Red and Grom. Sorry, not Groms, Krugs. So TynX is like saying, yo, he's in his jungle in this area, but Hadess had found a way to slip in down bot, maybe for a world time gank. But as it turns out, he's just going to go for those Krugs instead. And LDLC stays safe for now.
See in the mid lane, though, level 6 has come through for Akali without really suffering at all. Chapapi now going to be in trouble because he's completely out of mana. Now, Vétheo out of energy, so can't continue that play at all. But it will force the back out of Xerath. And, of course, Xerath trying to stay defensive in this lane, doesn't have the TP, instead has the barrier. And that means Akali will get the free back, whereas it looks like Xerath is going to have to lose some CS.
Yeah, Xerath has no TP. He's got the barrier to try and survive this lane against Akali, because obviously once you reach level 6, there's pretty significant all-in potential whenever you're playing versus Akali. And now Zach has slid into the spot side of the map, but it doesn't look like... Now he's just going to recall, nothing going down there. So TynX now is going to get this crab. He's got most crabs in this game. And he now has a level advantage over Hadess as well. So while TynX is 6 and Hadess is 5, there might be a slim window to do something about that. But either way, you can just see, you know, this Lee Sin pick and the Zach pick, we really are playing, at least for Zach specifically, to get later on into those games and play those team fights.
Now, though, we may have a little bit of new lane assignments as YellOwStaR starts to roam up to the top side, fishing for these plays. Potentially the donated blue buff over to Chapapi, but Nightmares is here as well, so both supports moving up to the top side, but Misfortune continuing to go bot lane.
This is interesting, yeah. Like you say, Hadess is still sticking to the bot side. LDLC's Hadess is... but YellOwStaR, they seem to have read this, but not fully dedicated resources to it, so this is cool because, you know, Hadess is still just going to get some free farm down in the bot side of this map here.
Ooh, Alois is actually sticking around. Very high risk play, though, and Hadess, I don't know who you're fooling there, buddy, but all of your team is showing top lane, so YellOwStaR has nothing to be afraid of. Now, YellOwStaR has walked away and has picked up Predator, so he can proc it here, along with the Swifties, and starting Herald is a big gambit. They are trying to force the team fight. They have level 6, they have Malphite, they have Zach ult. DK are trying to leverage all that team fighting power, but Gonna see if it counts against them as YellOwStaR starts to fish for a play. Ornn engage on the backside. TynX gonna start to get frisky. Vétheo zones out Xerath without using any spells, but TynX is now in trouble, and that's the combo we were talking about. So much damage, but now they're looking to follow back. Vétheo right into the back line. Has been stunned, has been locked up, but that's one stack of the ultimate. Yeah. All right, Xerath is gonna make it out of that one, but just barely, and you start to see why Akali is such a good option to some of these immobile champions.
And LDLC got the Herald in that play as well. TynX was able to steal that one away. So pretty much disaster striking for Defusekids here. This positioning from Chapapi kind of confuses me a little bit though, because now he's put himself outside the fight. And as you mentioned, Vétheo can just zone him away. Like, you're not really seeing it at the bottom of your screen, but it just means that, okay, now Xerath's not around and he's just going to have to, all he can do is throw out his ultis, which isn't really the most, you know, especially at this point in the game where he doesn't have any AP or anything built. And yeah, that just really sucks for Defusekids. And on top of that, of course, the fact that they lose the Herald too, yeah, that's pretty ouch.
Yeah, big insult to injury. Of course, relatively even overall on kills, and still, despite low damage on the ultimate, Chapapi will get a kill. Will start to snowball closer, and to that Luden's Echo pretty early on in the game. Still not enough to make him comfortable in this laning phase, especially as Akali gets closer and closer to that Gunblade. Actually crazy how much Gunblade does for Akali.
Yeah. Anyone who uses Gunblade, it's such a big spike. Same for like Katarina and stuff. You won't see Katarina too much in competitive play, but in solo queue, as soon as she gets that item, you know, you're in trouble. You know, you're just in trouble. You've got to avoid fighting around dragons, because these kind of champions in these closed up team fights, they love these kind of plays, especially early on when it's like, you know, 2 or 3 people going for the dragon. Then yeah, you can put down some real damage. So Vétheo here is setting himself up very nicely for this next dragon play.
Good look overall. Of course, waiting for the ults for cooldowns for both Ornn and Malphite, but the TP will be up for Malphite before it is up for Bando, so potentially a global advantage that can be exploited here by the side of Defusekids. 1,000 gold difference, definitely not where they want to be, and keep in mind that is 1,000 before the Herald has been used. That said, we now have Alcove Gaming here on the bottom side as Hadess fishes to, well, you know, kill his name brother.
Okay, this could work.
Highlander, baby, there could only be one. Dunk down, it's not looking good for Zach. All right, there could be 2 for now.
Bro, you were sitting on that for a while. I can tell.
It was that, or Gently's the
Let
one.
me use it.
It was like what are people more likely to know, Highlander or the one? It's unclear. As there become less players named Hades in the world, they all become more powerful.
Right.
Who will ascend?
Here we go. Defusekids looking for the re-engage.
Oh, Malphite ulti will clip Vétheo, but Vétheo going to dash in anyway, just goes into the pool and is going to die to AoE without even really being spotted out there, and TynX now has to run for the hills. Good play by Defusekids so far. Chapapi waiting for that lineup, waiting to hit the shot, waiting for the CC to set him up. He's going to get a big Q on that one, but not much else.
Okay, so they do get the dragon away from that one as well, which, you know, even this mountain dragon, it's nice by itself when you've got a Zac and a Malphite on your team. But crucially, you know, what we've seen from Defusekids struggle with is not losing a game before they've really come online. Anytime you can get a dragon, you're delaying that potential Dragon Soul kind of game ender, especially if it becomes the Ocean Soul. Like, holy moly, if you let a team get Ocean Soul, then you can pretty much just say goodnight. That's terrifying. So Defusekids, good job in being able to give themselves a little bit more time.
It's actually crazy how upset Ocean Soul is overall. But as you mentioned, I'm impressed that Defusekids could pull the fight off there, and definitely Vétheo feeling a little bit too comfortable after that last team fight to leap in, and now he has to go back empty-handed, has to buy Amplifying Tome instead of finishing a Gunblade. That said, Goose still has to be very careful about stepping forward, but Vétheo, if he gets hooked here, oh my god, that is so clean. And yeah, have fun in your shroud. Though maybe an unnecessary heal there. He's going to try to use them as a dash out, but see you later. Goose going to grab another one, and Vétheo is going to feel not so great about that. Of course, Herald used mid lane does mean that LDLC are going to get something back in the meantime, grabbing a few plates there, but Vétheo, some of those, you totally, at the beginning he was a 17-year-old player, wouldn't have known anything about it from his play, but if I had to guess his age after 2 plays like that, yeah, all right, he's young. He's making those mistakes. He's a little too eager, a little too cocky here.
Yeah, it's limit testing, mate. That's how you improve. The optimal way to improve is to push your boundaries and see just how far you can go. You know, the real painful thing about it, I'm glad you mentioned it before, is that coming out of that dragon fight, Vétheo wasn't able to complete his gunblade, and as you said, that's huge. But now he's still not able to complete his gunblade. Like, he just got back into lane and died again. Like, he should be at a big spike right now that he just isn't, and that can be something that can really work in Defusekids' favor.
All right, one more time. I want to say the Highlander thing. Please fight. Nope. All right. They're really not committed to the plot here. It feels like they're following a different story arc than I am.
Did they not get the script that we got? I'm just like...
Yeah. Guys, you have to fight. The person with the better KDA gets to keep the name at the end of this match. Currently, it's Hadess.
They wanted it.
Oh! The pullback. YellOwStaR's out for blood. Hadess just wants to hit the minions.
Yeah, I kind of respect it though. Defusekids walked away from the bush. They walked away from the lane to make it seem like there was nothing there. But LDLC, their spray sensors were tingling. Be able to get that ward down in the bush, and Hadess not able to bring down his name brother just yet.
I mean, I'm enjoying the Hadess banter, but what the hell just happened mid lane?
Yeah, I'm just...
Chapapi just let mid lane die. Did we miss some context there? I'm curious, because he was down, I guess, roaming bot lane maybe to help set up the play, and just allowed mid lane to fall. Definitely has enough ranged wave clear that probably shouldn't have happened, and yeah, that's going to hurt Defusekids.
I agree. I will be like 1000% honest here and say I was all in on the Hadess train there, so I wasn't really paying attention either, but we might be seeing... No, he's just going to get spoiled out again.
Yeah, let's start with the Predator running in. Hadess is fishing for these ganks, cannot find them, while other Hadess is running through the river and setting up mid lane.
So the issue with keeping on with this attempt here is that now he's falling pretty far behind TynX, who's not only able to get more farm, but is being able to pick up these objectives. So he made the play to get that mid lane tower. He got the second Rift Herald as well. So this is all Zach kind of falling behind, but on the plus side, you know, it's kind of okay for Zach to fall behind, because, you know, he just does what he does and he doesn't really need the farm and the experience, but it's still definitely an advantage in TynX's favor, and you'll be able to see that with the amount of limited and restricted movements that Defusekids will have now.
And have to see how TynX plays out the rest of this game, because while there's a lot of opportunity for him to have these big montage moments, kicking his Xerath back, kicking Aphelios back, two champs who instantly die if he finds that good setup. It's so hard for him to actually get into the back line. If he dashes in a telegraphed way, Xerath can instantly stun, Thresh can instantly flay, there's a Zac to disrupt as well, there's a Malphite. So I think now that we're out of early game, the teams are starting to group, it's very difficult for TynX to play this one. You can see why, the kick, the escape, but he just gets rebuffed right back, still manages to dash over the wall, and a solid ult in response. And now Bando says, let's get the ball rolling. Vétheo has the gunblade now, ready to respond. The dash forward, the ult through, trying to get one. Buys a bit of time with the exhaust, going down, is just going to gunblade. Pew pew, shoot him out. And they're just going to go right to the ocean.
But that was so calmly played by TynX there. Like, that was so good. He didn't panic seeing he was getting engaged on, instead he walked forward to get the kick back. That was honestly just really, really well played. And Alois, you got to be careful, buddy.
Ooh. Still a very speedy Malphite, especially against the Swifty boots there. Steals a lot of movement speed. Manages to zoom out, but Vétheo finds the kill and now is feeling a lot more confident here in the side lane. Can finally go back and get a little bit more itemization under his belt. Wouldn't be surprised to see Merc treads this game, but also, given everything I've learned about this player in the last 17 minutes of watching him play, yeah, it's sword shoes. Yeah, that was, yeah.
the thing with Merc treads, like, it's good for Thresh's Q and Xerath's E, like as far as the CC goes, but you know, the Zac jump, the Malphite CC and stuff, the big CC from Defusekids is knockups, right? Or like displacements of some description.
I don't know. I mean, between Aphelios, Xerath, and Thresh, I feel like there's enough justification, and all the almost purely agree. Magic damage.
I honestly agree with you. I'm just trying to, like, I don't know, but hey,
you got it. That's true.
You know what?
At the end of the day,
yeah, fine. What are you doing, mate?
He's a pro player. I'm going to trust him. I'm just saying I would have preferred the Merc treads. If he says, my job right now is to kill Aphelios and Xerath, screw everybody else, I just need to do that as quickly as possible, then you can make an argument for the sword shoes.
Sure. I mean, it's not like it's a bad buy by itself. It's just a question of which one is more optimal. But either way, he is now playing around the top side of the map with TynX. Anytime that TynX decides to stack up with a side laner, which he'll mostly be doing alongside the Akali, or grouping up with Hadess and YellOwStaR, because TynX is so strong at this point, like, you're gonna have that advantage, and it allows you to move quite deep into the map, get vision down, put pressure on people. So that's all something that's going to make the game a lot easier to play for LDLC, and on the inverse, harder to play for Defusekids.
And I like this. TynX backs off right as he sees the timer on Herald is getting quite short. He wants to set up for the play, grabs a few control wards on the way back to base, and now they're fully set up to make some big movements here across the map. LDLC looking to break open mid-tier 2. They already broke open mid-tier 1 earlier on, just trying to get some value out of this second Herald. Chapapi has to be careful because he's getting sniped. He's not going to get any counterplay here. It is forced to flash out, the only way to keep his life. And Hadess now setting up on the side, but will be spotted out by Bando. Oh, let's go. Malphite on the backside. The entire team is splitting up, though. YellOwStaR can just dunk him right back down, but now Hadess has to back away. Other Hadess now fighting Bando. Alois now jumping back, and TynX now jumping forward. Hadess throwing out a beautiful ult as Hadess throws out another beautiful ult, and now YellOwStaR, looking like YellOwStaR as he waves his hands and walks away in that one.
That's a great save. Well done. I'm a little bit confused, though, honestly, all in all right there, like... So I really think LDLC, I wasn't fully convinced by this play because it's exceptionally, extremely, very much so telegraphed, right? Because you're putting down the Herald so far away, and I just don't think...
It was timing out in their defense.
Okay, sure. Fine, it's timing out, but, you know, I don't think there's pressure on the Defusekids to do anything here. Like, you don't have to make this play. Like, I don't think anything's going to happen here if you're a Defusekids. Like, you can wave play, you've got the Xerath, you've got the Aphelios. Like, you can absolutely just chill out here. Like, you're probably not even going to lose this tower. It's totally fine. And it's not like by chilling out, you sacrifice anything, because there's nothing for you to lose on the map. Like, you're not going to lose Dragon. You weren't going to lose Herald. Baron wasn't even spawned yet.
Chapapi also has Gathering Storm, as if you just learned from that icon appearing over his head. So going long is not going to be a big problem for the Xerath.
It does just kind of surprise me a little bit. I don't know whether it's miscommunication or... you know, a Riven player playing something that isn't Riven, but
true.
I'm just, you know, I'm not. I don't think they should be trying to go too hard in these plays. And you know, you take a look at the goal difference here. Bot lane and top lane specifically, or even jungle as well. Yeah, like mid lane is close, but that's really about it for the Defusekids. That's kind of scary.
It's very scary, and I think Defusekids were very fortunate they managed to get 4 members of their team out of that exchange, because after you saw that kick through 3, the follow-up from YellOwStaR with the haymaker there were a lot of flashing red health bars in that team fight that if there was just a little bit more in the tank for LDLC, could have been a wipe and could have been an early Baron. Instead, however, we're just going to go for the aggressive Baron. Xerath going to give him a little bit of a healthy leash here, fire a few extra shots just to say back off. But they won't push in anymore, and TynX and Hadess could just try to start it up again.
They don't have too much damage, so I'm not quite sure Baron's the best play here. And Dragon is spawning very, very soon. Again, I'm not sure whether the Defusekids can really do too much about this. Might just get a fight, though.
Alois, knockups there. Going to try to find the follow-up. Alois just going to turn right down, but he's not going to connect the ult. Good sidestep from Hadess, and now he's dunked right back to the team, but Zach's going to find purchase there as well. Alois going to find the attack speed slow, but it's firing over the wall from the MF. That's going to be more than enough as Hadess is now on the hunt. Defusekids on the retreat. Other Hadess will now dash out to safety, and Vétheo, here he comes. Here comes the Akali trying to get a little bit more space for the team, but they're free fighting. He doesn't have Zhonya's yet. Vétheo taken down, but he still manages to find a kill back. Shutdown going over to Thresh. It's a bit tragic for the Defusekids, but they do get one back.
That's a classic Akali play right there, and it pains me, man. Like, I know Malphite is a very mechanically intense champion, but whiffing your ultimate like that is just that just really sucks, honestly. That makes the fight so much harder to play in. I mean, to be honest, even if you hit that ult, even if you get it, even if you land it, do you really get anything in that situation? You probably don't. It's just one of those. It's another one of those games, you know, where I just think the Defusekids need time, and they're not being given time, and it's really showing.
Well, and the biggest problem that I see is that aside from the normal things that you get out of a team fight, gold, or we'll hold that thought as we see the kind of the final tail moments of this team fight as Vétheo goes in. Now keep in mind, Vétheo doesn't have flash here, doesn't use Ignite either. So all things considered, just a 1-for-1, and he burns a lot of resources on the enemy team.
Yeah, it's really cool though that he still finds that play. Like it's a sign of a pretty confident player, which is, you know, coming from a 17-year-old, is always something you want to see.
But now, YellOwStaR, fishing for the play, knows that he got spotted out though, will just back off. Baron getting pinged out repeatedly. They want to like, end this game quickly. These boys got dinner reservations. They're trying to... I mean, it's...
Mate,
never mind, it's
bad
11
enough.
PM at
They
night.
don't need
These
any
boys
more.
trying to go to bed. Night.
Alright.
Vétheo's 17. He's way past his bedtime, guys. Like, we gotta wrap this one up.
End it before his mum unplugs the internet. Come on. Let's go. I do
His
think
mom's
that's
asking
just...
if he can pause the game. It's all going. He's trying to explain, Mom, I can't pause the game. It's a hard time right now.
I can't believe this is just gonna happen though. Yeah, Defusekids are in a rock and a hard place here.
Yeah, Bando now stepping forward. YellOwStaR just going to flash forward, immediately forcing 2 flashes out in response. The dunk back. There's no follow-up. Defusekids are honestly shattered. They're running. They're turning. Now, desperately, they try to turn on the Akali. They will get one. This is a decent response. Now, Chapapi can start to free fire a little bit more, feel a lot more comfortable. Good turn from DK. It looked grim there. They were burning so many cooldowns for nothing, but an excellent punish on Vétheo.
Yeah, I think he's maybe being a bit overconfident at this point as well. He needs to respect the fact that Defusekids still have decent damage, and it's really in the group type situations where LDLC will just run rampant over them, and it's not necessarily, you know, this Akali is not the 1v9 machine that we've seen in other games, so got to be a little bit more respectful there. Got to chill out a tiny bit.
And credit to Chapapi and also Goose for kind of playing these fights slow, making sure that they give Akali that due respect. Because when I saw these compositions, it looked like a field day for Akali in terms of the 2 carries that were selected. Because once Xerath throws out that stun, if it does not connect, he's instantly dead. And the same is true of Aphelios. So the fact that they've done such a good job staying alive, only dying 2 and 1 times respectively, and not the most bloody game, but definitely a decent amount of kills going down, is a good sign to keeping cool heads in tense situations.
Alright, so more of those ults land there for Chapapi. Hadess is going to have to back away, and we're going to see him engage.
Hadess now going to find it, but he's just kicked right back to the middle of the team. Now trying to disengage, of course, still does have the passive, but will flash out anyway. Rest of the team now pulling back. Chapapi trying to throw down a little bit more damage, but he's running a bit low on mana. Nightmare stepping forward and now stepping back. Kick does connect for TynX. TynX trying to find a way in. Dashing to the side. The Ornn now for the re-engage. That's going to be trouble.
Nice.
Right into the pinch. Chapapi firing back. That's Bando taken down.
There it is. All right, we got it. We connected on the good Malphite. That is exactly how the Defusekids want to play these fights. They want to kite it back, and then when they're all grouped up, you kind of smack it all down and catch people. Bam, sorted. Downside for this team fight though, it's just the 1 kill. Like it's just that. You're not going to get a tower out of it. There's no objective for you to take. On the plus side though, you just want time. It's all about time. We've always been talking about Defusekids. The whole theme of this E-Masters is they need time that they're not getting, and a teamfight win right there does buy them a little bit more.
The tough thing is now we look at the fights to come. There is no flash on Goose. There is no flash on Chapapi. And that dragon is up in 1 minute. That's LDLC's sole point. Baron is up as well. So TK will have to contest, and they will not have the luxury of flashes on their carries when they do. Good news is Alois' flash will be up and available. So maybe the Miracle Malphite ult can win them the day. But for Vétheo and Hadess, the carries on the opposite end, they both have flashes. They're both incredibly safe, and we're seeing second items now coming out. So going to be a tough ask for Defusekids to win out in the next fight.
And as this game goes on as well, Alois should become harder and harder to kill because there's no real reliable way to bring him down on the side of LDLC. Like you're looking for consistent damage, but because Malphite is stacking AD, Hadess isn't going to be able to do too much to it. Therefore, you're looking for magic damage, but the only magic damage on LDLC's side isn't consistent. And at the same time, like Akali's probably not even going to be looking at this Malphite at all. You know, she's got some juicy targets, and the Rock Boy is not one of them.
And also, Malphite just does a solid amount of damage building armor, right? And that's the thing that I think a lot of people forget, is that he's from the old era of tanks. Him and Rammus both, where it's like, yeah, just build this one defensive stat, and if you're in a game where it's the right choice to build that defensive stat, you're going to hit like a truck.
Alright, here comes the next fight.
Knock up. Alois there is just going to... Oh, no. Ult over the wall, but it's whiffed. A clean flash out from Hadess takes him out to safety, but Vétheo now going to be in trouble. Ult's out. Ult back in to get things kicked off. Bando now stepping forward, but no one is there to help you, buddy.
Look, the dragon. Look at the dragon. This is Dragon Soul.
Retreating. They're buying time. Still, though, Hadess going over the wall. Hadess, can he get it? No. TynX is going to grab that one away to kick back now the MF combo, and it's trade combo for combo here, and DK still holding on for now, but Vétheo off to the side. Bando now finding one. Alois now going to be in trouble. Vétheo leaping in, goes straight into the Shroud. Hook goes in. Maybe they can find it. Defusekids, can they turn it all as a Chapapi? He's got the damage, but can he make it head home?
Look at that healing already. Already that Ocean Soul is doing work. And you know, honestly, this fight wasn't too bad for Defusekids. It really wasn't, but it's not good enough, you know. LDLC was taking the dragon, and now that is the Ocean Soul for the rest of the game, you know. And that's just for Defusekids, especially when you've got poke coming through from the Xerath. That poke isn't going to mean a huge amount anymore because you're just going to be able to heal it back up. And these team fights are going to be hard to fight as well. It's just this game just got 10 times harder for Defusekids.
I mean, the burden of execution is ludicrously high at this point. And credit to Chapapi, he sees the Ocean Soul coming. He buys a pretty aggressive Morellonomicon, I think it's safe to say, but ends up being the right choice because of the Ocean Soul. And, he's just poking, just kind of threatening, just trying to scare him off of it, but not going to happen. TynX just holds onto that smite, waits till it's low enough, and we'll take it out. And that's Soul into Baron. And you heard it from Attila in the interview, Foxdrop. Every single EU Masters game, it's one fight around 30 minutes into Dragon Soul, into Baron, and the game is over. And we might just be seeing that happen one more time.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, it's not quite 30 minutes. It was more like 28 when that fight happened. But still, I think I'll give you points. That's okay.
Approximately. Merciless.
But it is a recurring theme. You know, it generally is. Like around this time of the game, EU Masters really does tend to kick off, and I think part of it is because sometimes in the skill mismatch between teams, sometimes you see like strong early games that you're just not quite able to force down until the stronger, more meaningful objectives start spawning and people start risking more, like going for fights to try and defend objectives, which you can then punish, which is what we've seen here. And the Defusekids are still trying to look for the fights, but at this point, yeah. This is gonna be very hard for them, very tough.
It's just, it's hard. I think that's the most that you can say. Bando giving him the sad face, but it's really Defusekids who are sad here because that Xerath Q, that Arcano Pulse, that's supposed to hit like a truck, you know, 30 minutes into the game. It doesn't, not even a little bit. It's a little tickle for Ornn.
And Bando now is not only really tanky, but with that Ocean Soul as well. Like even if you can get some damage down onto him, it's really not going to stick for particularly long. I do think, you know, I'm kind of coming back to the whole point of like the healing of Ocean Soul and the fact that Chapapi bought Morello's, because I noticed that before and I was like, really? Is he only doing that for like Akali's Gunblade? But then now that I think about it, he bought that after like the second dragon had gone down. It was like he just knew. He was like, you know what? They're gonna get this Ocean Soul, aren't they? It's just gonna happen.
My god.
So
and we have Executioners calling on Alois. They are determined to. And also Goose.
That's interesting. Okay, so Executioners calling only works from physical damage, but I'm not sure whether that works off the W splash from Malphite. You know, like the Titanic Hydra effect.
I'd assume so.
Not. Yeah. In which case, it's more reliable than having the Bramble Vest, but. Well,
I don't know if that's money that they needed to spend, though. I think maybe the Aphelios was enough. What do I know?
Yeah, but hey, I mean, it is ridiculous healing, to be fair. Like, the Ocean Soul is extremely powerful.
Ocean Soul and a Death's Dance MF and a Gunblade Akali, those are pretty hard champions to kill. And if you're a Malphite, you're probably not killing them if they have 100% healing efficiency. You just can't burst them, really, and you can't, well, finish them off once they're starting to heal back up. So I see the logic there.
Yeah, that's the mismatch though of how Defusekids want to play the team fights and how they're not able to so far. As here comes the Ornn.
They just forced the flash out just like that. Zach just kicked right back to the team, forcing that ult out as well. TynX is just going to back away. They can walk away, not take this fight, and just come out on top with the summoner spell from Xerath.
Yeah, so what Defusekids want to do is they want to kite back. We've seen that a lot, but at the same time, that the damage that this team has, a lot of it comes from bursts as well. So the problem is, like, the Ocean Soul has to be like the worst thing to play against. I know they bought a lot of anti-healing, so they really are trying to nullify that. But it's so hard to kite back into a team fight and like keep that going for a while when people are just going to be healing up. Like, what are you kiting back from? Like, you're running away, sure, but you're not really gaining any ground in that sense, and as far as the fight's concerned. So it's tough.
Yeah, and I think in a world without Ocean Soul, you can argue that they can poke enough that they force LDLC to kind of engage into them. And then that allows them to be the team that kind of retreats, that plays the fights out nice and slow. But because this poke, as you're going to see in a second, does just about nothing, like that does so little damage, they can't force LDLC to fight them.
Yeah,
now,
we
LDLC
even saw that too, sorry.
I was going to say, well, LDLC, I think the other thing is that until they find a pick, they can't really break open this base. That said, YellOwStaR might have just found a pick. Maybe with his face, though, as he just gets deleted. Goose on a rampage, and now they're going to double down on this fight. Hadess coming over the wall. He's going to smack two together. Now Kiss, Malphite going to seal the deal. Zach bouncing around in the backside, but Vétheo buying a bit more time is just going to die. That was not good. Bando on the retreat now, and LDLC playing a little bit disrespectfully there.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm seeing it, but Defusekids winning a fight, and Elder Dragon spawn. This could actually be a really big turn for them.
Flash up for Malphite 2 in the coming fight. Flash for Hadess has just returned, and Vétheo is not having a great game.
No.
Of course.
That's fair to say, actually. Alright, this is going to be another fight, and TynX does have a level advantage on Hadess. Big fight coming up here.
Oh! One Arcana Pulse might not be a lot of damage, but the entire combo is more than enough. Hadess now running for the hills. You see the locket used. Hadess on the retreat. TynX waiting over the wall, just desperate to find the steal. Bando now going to be taken down, but here comes YellOwStaR in the midst of the fight. Keep your eyes on Goose as well. That's a very low health bar. If YellOwStaR finds a good dunk, they could find themselves in trouble. TynX to the backside. Elise in. All it's going to take is one kill, one low health target to turn this fight in an instant. TynX still fishing. TynX going over the wall. That's the kick. He tries to follow it up. YellOwStaR is there. A miracle play from TynX to stop LDLC from losing anything here. Now Chapapi has to run for the hills because the Xerath is not the threat. TynX gets the Elder Dragon, and LDLC, it might have been questionable, but at the end of the day, Elder Dragon, everything you could ask for in the play, and Bando will grab a kill to close it out.
Defusekids had to go for that play, and it was close to working for them, but the odds were just really stacked up against them. You know, when you're, we said it 1,000 times, say again, playing versus the Ocean Soul means you can't bring down Bando. All this goal disadvantage as well working again. Yeah, that's just it, you know. It's just too much, and LDLC are gonna take this one and move to second inning.
And honestly, TynX, beautiful final fight there to help secure the team, the Dragon. Clean performance from LDLC. Yesterday, their win might have been gifted them, but today they absolutely earned it. LDLC will move up to second place at the end of Week 1 with a 2-1 scoreline overall. Defusekids walk away from Week 1 empty-handed, a crushing 0-3.
Yeah, all these games just look so similar to me for Defusekids, but props to LDLC for the way they were able to execute that game. It felt like, you know, right from 20 minutes, as soon as Baron spawned, LDLC were going for it. You know, they were trying to bait that through. They were trying to get Defusekids to come and fight them. They were forcing that stuff. Like they really were in control for most of that game, if not all of it.
And kind of the spark of hope grew inside me in that one moment where they found that solid fight where YellOwStaR overextends a little bit. He doesn't have enough time to proc the Haymaker to get that shield. Things are looking good, but then honestly, LDLC are so good at buying time. TynX about finding that angle that Chapapi, as much as I liked how much space the Xerath opens up in some of these fights, it is not a reliable source of damage, is what we learned. Because the second that Aphelios goes down, there is no fight left, really, for Defusekids.
It seems like kind of the story of this game as well was that Defusekids were close to having things work for them, but just not close enough. You know, like because LDLC was so good at the early game and had that advantage over them. Like even this soul fight that you saw there, it started off with a one team fight in mid lane from Defusekids. It's just that LDLC then snuck it away because Defusekids didn't quite win it hard enough. And here as well, you've got the pick onto Vétheo and onto Sett. YellOwStaR went down in this, but you just don't quite have enough. You know, like it's close. Like if you kill that Ornn there, sure you can maybe turn it around. TynX maybe would have died earlier as well. Maybe Goose could survive this situation, but you know what I mean? Like it's just not quite close enough. And major props to LDLC for the way they played this game because they were looking really, really strong.
Overall, yeah, I think a single play at the end there was the only thing that we can hold against them, and still, even out of that play, it looks, you know, questionable, that looks difficult, they still come back, they show us more. And now, when we look at the group standings, suddenly this group looks a lot more contentious because we know that Rogue are a solid team and can look to rise up here in week 2. Vodafone Giants at 3-0, Gamers Origin at 3-0. Really the only teams from the seed ones that have been living up to the expectations and being undefeated and being a cut above everyone else, whereas Group C and Group D are neck and neck. These ones are going to be an absolute bloodbath in week 2.
We came into eMasters 2020 saying that there wasn't really any clear favourites and that there was a lot of parity this year across all the teams, and you know, you saw it in the standings. Like, it's just, there are a lot of 2-1s. There are a lot, even the teams that are like 3-0, they've had very close games, a lot of them. And, you know, props to the teams in that first week. We're going to have the second week of matches starting 29th of April. That is next. Off the top of your head, Dragos, what day is that? Wednesday?
That is Wednesday the 29th. That's going to be Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time. Now, of course, we're going to complete each group each day. So you'll notice that there are no UK teams playing this day. And I want to use this as a special opportunity to say to the UK, get your shit together, dude. 0-3, you've made a career out of disappointing UK fans. And as someone from North America, I know what it feels like. Trust me, the LCS has been in a similar boat many times, even if I am an LEC diehard. So what I want to say is, if you don't want to be the LCS of the ERLs, step up or shut up and have a good week 2. Good luck, UK. There's a lot of hope riding on you. Foxdrop, any final words? Anything you want to say before we close out for the day?
I mean, honestly, I think I should leave you on that because it's scathing, but honestly, it's pretty fair. The UK need to step up.
We'll see. Opportunities. They got time to adapt. They got time to develop. We won't cut them out just yet. Even Excel could come back with a 3-0 week. We've seen it. Fnatic's done it before. Love me some European League of Legends. Come back. Round 2 of the EU Masters Group Stage begins Wednesday the 29th at 6 p.m. Once again, Wednesday the 29th at 6 p.m. Be here, twitch.tv/EU Masters, or on YouTube. Watch.LOLesports.com also works. If you're not sure which platform you prefer, they're all there. They're all available. That's going to be it from us here tonight. We'll see you next week.